It Follows is a 2015 horror film written and directed by David Robert Mitchell about a teen who, after a sexual encounter, is constantly being followed while trying to find out how to stop it. It Follows was one of my favorite movies of 2015, and I felt that it was necessary to comment on how great this film was after I read some comments from a friend about how they really missed the message and point of this film. It Follows can be viewed on multiple levels, whether it's a basic one about kids being stalked or one about STDs. Some of this I'll talk about later. Before this video, I want to attack the idea that It Follows is about the transition to adulthood. Red or pink appears in almost every scene throughout the movie, whether it's something subtle in the background or as a focus point of that moment. We see a red interior for the theater, school bulletin board, bandage on Jay's head, and several shots of Jay's nails in the pool scene with red covering the pool. Red is a sign for danger, immediately present or foreshadowing future events. A lot of times it is seen within the next few scenes. Paths and empty houses or buildings are seen sporadically whenever a decision is made to leave a dangerous situation or to seek out space to achieve a goal or plan. There are shots of Jay being strapped in a chair in an abandoned building, Jay driving away after getting into a car accident, representing a roadblock of sorts in her journey, and several shots of the crew and Jay with a clear path ahead of them and abandoned houses to their sides. There's even a shot of the crew going from the city landscape to the rural emptiness of the suburbs. These moments show a feeling of isolation in this transition towards adulthood, and the buildings displaying a type of instability of the outcome. It's easy to crash on your journey of life and be nothing. Water is often a focus point in the movie. We see Jay initially in her pool, floating, looking at the sky, essentially being on top of things with a clear mind, but we also see the girl in the opening scene on the beach with the water in the background darkened. In fact, every body of water outside of Jay's pool has some negative experience of condensation around it that we witness. These negative experiences with the foreign bodies of water later impacts Jay's pools as we see dead plants by the pool's entrance, later leading to the pool slowly breaking down to there being a hole in it. Water is symbolic of a resurrection or a newer version of someone, but though Jay does grow, one can argue that it's not for the better. She's constantly paranoid and worried about her circumstance. It is supposedly killed in the pool, Jay's safe haven, as we see earlier in the film with the pool being surrounded by a fence. But is the pool a safe haven if its death is in her environment? Does adulthood stain the memories of childhood? The stresses and dramas surrounding growing up are very challenging. There are other small pieces of symbolism throughout the film involving cars, balls, mirrors, feminism, being noticed, and adults themselves. Whoever is driving the car tends to either get it or has it, since cars are considered one of the first acts of maturing in society due to their self-sufficient aspects. Working in hand with the past symbolism mentioned earlier as seen in being in control and of the destination. Balls pop up occasionally, whether it's by surprise or kids playing with them, representing a transition of sorts. Mirrors are used often as one's reflection, with Jay preparing for her date, but then staring at her genitals as if she changed. Paul wants to be Jay's white knight to save her and envies the boys that have sex with Jay. And Jay and her sis, Kelly, want to make their own decisions and not be swayed by guys. They want to take charge. A boy throughout the movie watches Jay from a distance, most likely for her features. Jay notices occasionally, but the idea of puberty being the originator or origin of it is worthy of being discussed. Adults are seen occasionally, with them being out of focus or as a small offering. The kids never actually go to an adult for help. Even it is an adult for the most part whenever they appear on screen. Maybe adults can't help because this thing is something that only the kids can deal with themselves. With adulthood, self-responsibility is a big part of it. With that being said, another big idea is the concept of getting rid of childish tendencies for adult maturation. We see the kids watching old movies and wearing heels. There are moments of them playing cards, one of them being an old maid referencing their future and foreshadowing it. Jay runs to a playground after being attacked by it, showing a longing for childhood, and we see shots of trays of juice or sandwiches, a meal that parents would make for their kids for lunch usually. The group decides to put electronics around the side of a pool to kill it, but they never consider the fact that Jay is in the pool too, so she can be electrocuted. Paul shoots at it, and he doesn't really notice the people around either, so he's shooting recklessly, not considering other people's actions. Both methods include a goal of finishing off it, but without any consideration of others' expenses. The police go to the spot where Jay had sex and find a purse and a wheelchair. Young and old references. All these moments show the kids doing childish things while growing up. It's a longing for the past while maturing and making sure we make wise decisions. So, what is it? It can be a lot of things. The director said,
It could be. For me, it's many things. When I wrote it, I had a few different sort of themes and sort of symbols in my mind, and then I also think there are things that are subconscious. So there are many things for me. I don't want it to. I like the idea that it could be more than one thing, and I think depending on who watches it, I've heard many different interpretations of it. So that's a valid one, and I think there are others.
it can be sex with it being transferred through sex. Maybe it, through this lens, shows baggage that comes with sex and the amount of feelings and intimacy that involves after being passed along. I like to think of it as adulthood and death, since both adulthood and death follows childhood or freedom. It's something everyone has an inescapability to avoid. Once these avenues are in your face, how you deal with them says a lot about you and your future. On the date, Jeff picked a boy for Jay's game to change places with someone because
I'm son. I mean, how cool would that be to have your whole life ahead of you, you know?
Come on. It's not like you're old. You're 21.
I know, but look at how happy that kid is. Plus, at that age, you can go to the bathroom anytime you want. Total freedom.
Yeah. He's probably taking a shit right now.
Yeah, exactly. I can never get away with that.
the rules of it are as follows. If it kills you, it goes to the previous person. The carrier is to not go anywhere with one exit. And it moves slowly, but it's not dumb. A doubt moves slowly, whether it's 40 or 80 years, depending on the person, but eventually death is going to come to us. It's undefeated. During the school scene, a poem was recited called The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot. This poem perfectly describes Jay, as it's about a person that feels isolated and is indecisive when it comes to action. Even Yara recites a line from the Iliad about the soul leaving the body, therefore losing the identity of being a person. It's a part of life that must be accepted. As to the ending, though, I don't think that is it that's behind Jay and Paul. It is normally wearing all white, but on a side note, it tends to be females and may be considered as possible outcomes for Jay's future. But back on subject, there is a guy raking, which is wearing red, so it is coming for Paul, whether it's around the corner or is maybe a few miles or days away or whatever. Notice the fall atmosphere with the dead leaves and the pumpkin on the side of the homes. It's Halloween time. So guys, thank you for watching this. If you're new, you want to hit the subscribe button and you want to hit the like buttons for this video. I make tons of videos like this. This is my new niche now. But It Files was one of those movies where I took it as an STD movie or about sex. The very first time I saw it, but now that I'm an adult and just lived life a little bit, I kind of view it differently and notice some different things. I also like to announce that my next movie will be Ghost in the Shell. That's the next one that I'll be reviewing. So hopefully I can get that up by the time the month ends. I want to try and get it up by the time the movie comes out, which I believe is the 31st, I want to say. So, if it doesn't come out by then, it'll definitely be out in April. But, just keep up and just let me know what you think.